First contact, first victory. The UES Thunderchild drifted silently through the void, its massive hull gleaming against the backdrop of unfamiliar stars. At nearly 2 kilometers long, the warship represented humanity's ultimate achievement in space warfare technology, a vessel designed not to fight other humans, but as a safeguard against whatever might await them among the stars. Commander Alexandra Reyes stood on the bridge, her weathered face illuminated by holographic displays, showing sensor readings from the uncharted sector they had entered 3 days ago. Running her hand through her short gray-streaked hair, she studied the data with intense brown eyes. 30 light years from Earth, she said quietly to her executive officer, Commander Jackson Way, farther than any human expedition has ever ventured. We nodded, his tall frame bent over a tactical display. And hopefully not our last expedition either. The Thunderchild's mission was straightforward. Explore the Cygnus Arm, document everything they encountered, and return to Earth with their findings. Armed with experimental quantum shielding, gravity manipulation drives, and railguns capable of launching projectiles at 15% the speed of light, they were prepared for almost anything. Almost. Commander, Lieutenant Sarah Okonkwo's voice cut through the relative silence of the bridge. Multiple energy signatures detected at bearing 045. Range 1.2 million kilometers. Reyes straightened immediately. Classification: unknown, NOM, but they're massive. Definitely artificial, definitely powered. And Okonkwo paused, her dark fingers dancing across her console. They appear to be engaged in combat. On screen, Reyes ordered. The main view screen shifted to show what seemed like empty space, but as the computer enhanced the image and adjusted for various wavelengths, flashes of light became visible, the unmistakable signature of weapons fire. Magnify, Reyes commanded. The image zoomed in to reveal dozens of ships locked in battle. 2 distinct fleets engaged each other with beams of energy that cut through the vacuum. One group of ships had sleek, angular designs that reminded Reyes of predatory fish, their hulls a dark metallic blue. The others were bulkier, their surfaces covered in what appeared to be armored plates and glowing orange nodes. My God, Y whispered. First contact, and we stumble into the middle of an interstellar war. Reyes's mind raced. The Thunderchild's orders were clear: observe, document, and avoid engagement. But as she watched the conflict unfold, she realized they had discovered something that would forever change humanity's understanding of the cosmos. Yellow alert, she announced. Begin passage scans of both fleets. I want to know everything: weapons, defenses, propulsion. And prepare the first contact package. The bridge crews sprang into action, the yellow alert status casting an amber glow across their faces. The Thunderchild's advanced sensors probed the distant battle, collecting terabytes of data with each passing second. Commander, Okonkwo called out, alarm evident in her voice. 3 vessels have broken formation and are heading directly toward us. Speed indicates interceptor class. Way moved to the tactical station. They've detected us. Open a channel on all frequencies, Reyes ordered. Transmit the first contact package. The communications officer nodded, sending the carefully prepared message, a series of mathematical sequences followed by simple images of humans and Earth, designed to convey peaceful intentions to any intelligent species. The approaching vessels, all belonging to the Blue Fleet, showed no sign of slowing. If anything, they seemed to accelerate. No response to our transmission, Commander, reported the communications officer. They're charging weapon systems. Reyes's expression hardened. Shields up. Red alert. The lighting on the bridge shifted to a crimson hue as alert klaxons sounded throughout the massive ship. The 3 alien vessels were now close enough to make out details. Each was roughly 1/3 the size of the Thunderchild, but covered in what appeared to be weapons ports that glowed with an ominous blue light. Should we take evasive action? Way asked. Reyes shook her head. Not yet. I don't want to appear aggressive. Continue broadcasting. Her words were cut short as a brilliant beam of energy lanced from the lead alien vessel, striking the Thunderchild head-on. The entire ship shuddered, but the shields held. "Shield status," Reyes demanded. "Shields at 96%, Commander," reported Lieutenant Commander Hiroshi Tanaka from the engineering station. "Our quantum shielding adapted almost immediately to their energy signature." Reyes's eyes narrowed. They fired without provocation. "Target their weapons systems and return fire. Standard kinetic rounds only." The Thunderchild's main railguns charged in seconds. When they fired, there was no dramatic flash, no beam of light, just a barely perceptible vibration through the deck plates as 6 tungsten carbide projectiles, each the size of a small car, accelerated to 45,000 kilometers per second. The effect was devastating. The alien vessel's shields flared brilliantly before collapsing entirely. 2 ships were struck directly, the kinetic rounds passing clean through their hulls and leaving gaping holes. Secondary explosions cascaded along their structures as atmosphere vented into space. The 3rd ship managed to evade, but was caught in the debris field from its companions. "Direct hits," Tanaka reported, surprise evident in his voice. 2 hostiles disabled. The 3rd is damaged but operational. The bridge crew stared in shock. They hadn't expected their weapons to be so effective against obviously advanced alien technology. "More ships breaking away from the main battle," Okonkwo warned. 5 vessels of similar configuration on intercept course. Before Reyes could respond, several ships from the other alien fleet, the ones with the bulky armored hulls, moved to intercept the approaching blue vessels. Energy weapons fired in rapid succession, and 3 of the approaching ships were disabled almost immediately. "Commander," the communications officer called out, "we're receiving a transmission. It's coming from one of the armored ships." Reyes straightened her uniform. On screen, the view screen flickered, and for the first time in human history, Earth's representatives looked upon an alien face. The creature had thick, ridged skin that resembled bark, with deep amber eyes set in a broad face. 4 jointed appendages that might have been arms were visible, and what appeared to be breathing tubes extended from the sides of its elongated head. The alien spoke, its voice a series of deep rumbles and clicking sounds that the ship's computer couldn't translate. But the meaning was clear enough from the tactical situation. They had intervened on behalf of the humans. "Run their language through the linguistics database," Reyes ordered. "See if we can establish basic communication." "Commander, the remaining blue ships are regrouping," Wei reported. "They appear to be preparing for another attack." Reyes made a decision. "Target the lead vessel's propulsion systems. Fire when ready." The Thunderchild fired again, this time launching a spread of smaller projectiles from its secondary railgun systems. The effect was less dramatic but equally effective. The lead blue ship's engines went dark, leaving it drifting in space. The remaining vessels abruptly changed course, accelerating back toward their main fleet, which was now disengaging from the battle entirely. "They're retreating," Wei said, disbelief evident in his voice. Reyes nodded. "For now, but I doubt they'll stay away for long." She turned to the communications officer. "Any progress on that translation?" "The computer is identifying some basic linguistic patterns, Commander. I think I can establish rudimentary communication." "Do it." The armored ship that had transmitted earlier was now approaching slowly, its weapon systems apparently powered down. 2 more similar vessels flanked it protectively. "Open a channel to the approaching vessel," Reyes ordered. The alien appeared on screen again, this time accompanied by 2 others of similar appearance. The center alien wore what appeared to be decorated armor plates across its chest and shoulders. "This is Commander Alexandra Reyes of the United Earth ship Thunderchild," she said clearly. "We thank you for your assistance." The computer attempted to translate, producing a series of rumbles and clicks that made the aliens tilt their heads in what might have been confusion or interest. The center alien spoke again, and this time the computer managed a crude translation. I am Fleet Overseer Tactol of the Terran Protectorate Defense Force. Your weapon technology. Unprecedented. Who are you? Rice repeated her introduction, and this time understanding seemed to dawn in the alien's amber eyes. Humans. Unknown species. Your ship withstood Phyrexian beam weapon. Impossible. Rice smiled slightly. Apparently not impossible. Overseer Tactol. We developed our defensive systems independently. After a pause as the translation worked both ways, Tactol responded, "Must speak urgently. Phyrexians will return stronger." "I agree," Rice said. "Would you like to come aboard our vessel to discuss this situation?" After another pause and what appeared to be a consultation with the other aliens, Tactol responded, "Yes, we'll dock." 3 representatives. 6 hours later, the Thunderchild's conference room hosted the first official diplomatic meeting between humans and the Terran Protectorate. The 3 aliens, Tactol, and 2 others introduced as Science Director Morlack and Strategic Advisor Vril, sat across from Commander Reyes, Commander Wei, and Dr. Elena Rodriguez, the ship's chief xenobiologist. The war has raged for over 70 cycles. Tactol explained, the translation now considerably improved after Dr. Rodriguez's adjustments. The Phyrexian Imperium expands constantly, harvesting resources and subjugating species. The Protectorate formed to resist. How many species are involved? Dr. Rodriguez asked, barely containing her excitement at meeting not just one but multiple alien civilizations. The Protectorate includes 14 spacefaring species, Morlack replied. The Phyrexians have conquered or exterminated at least 12 that we know of. Reyes frowned. And where is Earth in relation to this conflict? Vril manipulated a small device, projecting a 3-dimensional map of the galaxy. A vast region illuminated in red represented Phyrexian territory, while green indicated Protectorate space. A small marker appeared far from both zones. Your system is here, in what we call the Quiet Expanse, Vril explained. No Protectorate or Phyrexian expedition has explored this region thoroughly. We thought it empty. So neither side knew about humans until today. Wei clarified. The aliens confirmed this with a gesture that resembled a nod. What I don't understand, Rice said, is why your weapons seemed ineffective against each other, yet we disabled the Phyrexian ships with just a few shots. The aliens exchanged looks that even humans could recognize as surprise. Your weapon technology is unlike anything in known space, Tactol said. Physical projectiles at such velocities. We abandoned such approaches millennia ago in favor of energy weapons. The Phyrexian shields are calibrated against energy attacks, not kinetic impacts. And why did our shields hold against their beams when yours failed? Wei asked. Unknown, Morlack admitted. We must study. But your arrival has changed the balance of power. The Phyrexians will not ignore this. Tactol leaned forward. They will return, Commander Reyes, with greater numbers. And they will pursue your ship to your homeworld if necessary. The Phyrexians do not tolerate technological rivals. Reyes felt a chill run down her spine. Are you suggesting that by encountering your war, we've now made humanity a target? Yes, Tactol said simply, but also an opportunity. Your technology, combined with our knowledge of Phyrexian tactics, could turn the tide of this war. What exactly are you asking of us, Overseer? Reyes asked, although she already knew the answer. The colony world of New Terris is 3 light days from here, Tactol said. Over 6 million refugees from conquered worlds reside there. The Phyrexians were planning to attack before your arrival. Now they will accelerate their timeline. The alien paused, all 4 appendages gripping the table as it leaned forward. We ask for your help in defending New Terris. In return, we offer alliance, technology exchange, and protection for your homeworld when the Phyrexians eventually find it, as they surely will. Reyes looked at Wei and Rodriguez, seeing her own thoughts reflected in their expressions. They had come to explore, not to fight in an alien war. But in that moment, Alexandra Reyes realized that humanity's future had just become inextricably linked with the fate of the Terran Protectorate. "How much time do we have before the Phyrexians attack New Terris?" she asked. Zactul's breathing tubes expanded slightly, perhaps their equivalent of a sigh. "Less than one standard cycle, what you would call 48 hours. The battle for New Terris." The UES Thunderchild dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the New Terris system, flanked by the remaining vessels of Fleet Overseer Cactul's defense force. Commander Reyes stood on the bridge, studying the holographic display of the system. New Terris itself was a blue-green jewel of a world slightly larger than Earth, with 3 small moons and a complex ring system. Surrounding the planet was an orbital network of defensive platforms and refugee habitats, the last safe haven for millions of beings displaced by the Phyrexian Imperium's relentless expansion. "Status report," Reyes ordered. "All systems operational, Commander," Wei replied. "Our engineers have successfully integrated the targeting data provided by the Protectorate. We'll be able to coordinate fire with their vessels." Reyes nodded. "And the modifications to our railguns?" Lieutenant Commander Tanaka approached with a data tablet. "Complete, Commander. By incorporating the Protectorate's phase technology into our projectiles, we've increased penetration capability by 200%. One shot should be able to take down a Phyrexian capital ship's propulsion system." The decision to help the Terran Protectorate had not been made lightly. After the initial contact, Reyes had spent hours in communication with Earth, explaining the situation to a stunned United Earth government. The response had been clear. Humanity could not ignore the Phyrexian threat. If the Thunderchild could help defend New Terris and forge an alliance with the Protectorate, they were authorized to do so. It wasn't just about altruism. The technology exchange had already begun to bear fruit. Protectorate scientists had marveled at human railgun technology and quantum shielding, while Thunderchild's engineers had been equally impressed by Protectorate FTL communications and gravitational manipulation systems. "Commander," Okonkwo called out, "incoming transmission from Overseer Cactul." "On screen," Reyes ordered. Cactul's bark-like face appeared. "Commander Reyes, our long-range sensors have detected a large Phyrexian fleet approaching from the Dalaran corridor. Estimated arrival: 6 hours." "How many ships?" Wei asked. 38 vessels detected," Cactul responded, "including 3 dreadnoughts and 12 cruiser-class ships. The rest are destroyers and support craft." Reyes frowned. Against that kind of firepower, even the Thunderchild would be hard-pressed to survive, let alone achieve victory. The Protectorate Defense Force consisted of only 15 operational vessels, many of them damaged from previous engagements. "We need a strategy that maximizes our advantages," she said. "The Phyrexians still don't know the full capabilities of our weapons, and they haven't had time to adapt their shields to kinetic impacts." Zactul made a gesture that the translator identified as agreement. "My tacticians have prepared a preliminary battle plan. With your permission, we will transmit it to your strategic systems." "Proceed." Reyes nodded. The main display shifted to show a complex 3-dimensional battle simulation. The plan was bold, perhaps too bold. It positioned the Thunderchild at the heart of the defense, with Protectorate ships forming a defensive screen. The human vessel would be the primary offensive weapon, targeting Phyrexian capital ships, while the Protectorate vessels dealt with smaller craft. We studied the simulation with a frown. "They're putting a lot of faith in our capabilities, Commander, if we're disabled early in the battle. Then the colony falls," Reyes finished grimly. "I know, but I have another idea." 5 hours later, the Thunderchild hung in high orbit above New Terris's largest moon, its massive hull seemingly dormant. All non-essential systems had been powered down, and the ship's thermal signature had been reduced to nearly background levels. Meanwhile, the Protectorate Defense Fleet had taken up positions within the planet's ring system, their ships nestled among the ice and rock fragments, where sensor returns would be confused and scattered. Phyrexian fleet exiting hyperspace, Okonkwo reported quietly. Range, 15 million kilometers and closing. Rise watched as the enemy fleet materialized on their long-range sensors. The Phyrexian formation was aggressive, a spearhead with the 3 dreadnoughts at its tip, surrounded by a protective screen of cruisers. Escort destroyers flanked the formation, scanning for threats. They're launching scout drones. We noted. Standard search pattern. Hold position. Rise ordered. All hands to battle stations, but maintain emissions control. Let them come to us. The minutes stretched into an hour as the Phyrexian fleet approached New Terrace, methodically scanning the system. Their scout drones eventually detected the Protectorate ships in the rings, but by then it was too late. Phyrexian main force is committed, Wei reported. They've taken the bait and are moving to engage the Protectorate fleet in the rings. Rise nodded. Perfect. Their dreadnoughts will be vulnerable once they focus on the ring engagement. Prepare for engine restart sequence. Weapons, I want firing solutions on all 3 dreadnoughts. The bridge crew worked with quiet efficiency as the Thunderchild gradually came to life. Power flowed back into its systems, its massive engines warming for a high acceleration burn that would bring it directly into the Phyrexian fleet's exposed flank. Protectorate forces engaging the Phyrexian vanguard, Okonkwo reported, watching the tactical display. Energy weapons flashed within New Terrace's rings as the 2 forces clashed. Shields to maximum. Rise ordered. Prepare for maximum acceleration on my mark. She waited until the Phyrexian dreadnoughts had fully committed to the ring engagement, their massive beam weapons targeting the Protectorate ships hiding among the debris. Now, the Thunderchild's engines flared to life, pushing the massive warship toward the battle at incredible speed. Before the Phyrexians could react, the human vessel was already in firing position. Multiple targets locked, reported the weapons officer. Ready to fire. Execute fire pattern Alpha, Rise commanded. The Thunderchild's main railguns discharged in sequence, sending 6 phase-enhanced projectiles toward the nearest Phyrexian dreadnought. The massive alien vessel detected the incoming fire too late. Its shields flared blue as they tried to intercept the projectiles, but the phase technology allowed the rounds to partially bypass the energy field. All 6 projectiles struck the dreadnought's main propulsion section, tearing through armor and vital systems. Secondary explosions rippled along its length as power conduits ruptured and fuel cells detonated. Direct hit, Wei exclaimed. Phyrexian flagship is losing power and venting atmosphere from multiple sections. Target the 2nd dreadnought. Rise ordered. Fire when ready. The Thunderchild turned slightly, bringing its next target into the firing solution. But this time, the Phyrexians were ready. The remaining dreadnoughts broke away from their engagement with the Protectorate fleet, turning their primary weapons toward the human vessel. Incoming fire, Okonkwo shouted. Multiple beam weapons targeting our position. Evasive maneuvers, Rise commanded. Maintain firing sequence. The Thunderchild's advanced drive systems pushed the massive ship into a tight evasive pattern, just as brilliant blue beams lanced through the space it had occupied moments before. 2 beams still managed to graze the ship's shields, causing the entire vessel to shudder. Shields holding at 82%, Tanaka reported. Adaptive algorithms are already compensating for the energy signature. The ship's railguns fired again, this time targeting the 2nd dreadnought's weapon emplacements. 4 of the 6 projectiles found their mark, destroying a significant portion of the alien vessel's offensive capability. Across the battlefield, the Protectorate ships emerged from the rings, coordinating their attack with the Thunderchild's flanking maneuver. Caught between 2 forces, the Phyrexian fleet's formation began to break down. Commander, Wei called out. The 3rd dreadnought is moving to a position that will give it a clear shot at New Terrace. They're preparing to bombard the surface. Ray studied the tactical display. The 3rd Phyrexian dreadnought had indeed broken away from the main battle, positioning itself for a planetary assault. If it succeeded, millions of refugees would die. Intercept course, she ordered. Maximum thrust. Divert auxiliary power to forward shields. The Thunderchild surged forward, pushing its engines beyond recommended limits. The massive human warship placed itself directly between the Phyrexian dreadnought and the vulnerable planet. "They're firing," Okonkwo warned. The Phyrexian vessel unleashed its full arsenal, a devastating barrage of energy beams designed to penetrate planetary defenses. Instead, they struck the Thunderchild's reinforced shields. The impact was catastrophic. The bridge shook violently as warning klaxons blared throughout the ship. Control panels exploded in showers of sparks, and emergency lighting flickered on as main power fluctuated. "Shields at 15%. Tanaka shouted over the noise. "Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. Emergency containment fields holding." Reyes gripped her command chair as the ship stabilized. "Damage to weapons systems. Main railguns still operational," Wei reported, wiping blood from a cut on his forehead. "But we only have enough power for one more volley." Reyes stared at the tactical display. The Phyrexian dreadnought was repositioning for another attack on New Terrace, apparently believing the Thunderchild was too damaged to stop it. "Target their main reactor," she ordered quietly. "Put everything we have left into the projectiles." "Commander," Wei said hesitantly. "At this range, the explosion from their reactor could cause significant damage to us as well." Reyes nodded grimly. "I'm aware, but we can't let them reach the planet. Execute the order." The weapons officer entered the commands, and the Thunderchild's railguns charged for one final assault. When they fired, the ship's lights dimmed momentarily as power was diverted to the electromagnetic accelerators. The 6-phase enhanced projectiles crossed the short distance to the Phyrexian dreadnought in less than a second. All 6 penetrated its weakened shields and struck the central section of the ship where sensors had detected its main power core. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a brilliant white light erupted from within the alien vessel, growing in intensity until it outshone the system's star. The dreadnought's hull bulged outward as its reactor containment failed catastrophically. "Brace for impact," Reyes shouted. The shockwave from the explosion slammed into the Thunderchild like a physical wall. Despite its damaged state, the human warship held together, though barely. Systems failed across the board as the ship tumbled away from the explosion site. When the chaos subsided, Reyes pulled herself back into her chair. "Status report." "Multiple systems offline," Tanaka replied, his voice strained. "Life support functioning on emergency power. Propulsion at 30%. Weapons are offline." "The Phyrexian fleet?" Reyes asked. Wei studied his damaged console. "Scattered. The explosion took out several of their escort vessels. The remaining ships are. They're retreating. Commander, breaking orbit and heading for the system edge." Slowly, reports came in from across the battlefield. The combined Thunderchild Protectorate strategy had worked. The Phyrexian attack force had been decimated, with the survivors fleeing back to Imperium space. New Terrace and its millions of refugees were safe, for now. Hours later, as repair crews worked to stabilize the Thunderchild's damaged systems, Commander Reyes met again with Fleet Overseer Cactol in what remained of the ship's conference room. "The sacrifice your vessel made to protect New Terrace will not be forgotten," the alien said, its voice solemn through the translator. "The Protectorate Council has unanimously voted to extend full alliance status to humanity." Reyes nodded, wincing slightly at the pain from a shoulder injury sustained during the battle. "The Phyrexians will be back, though. And next time, they'll be better prepared for our weapons." "Yes," Cactol agreed. "But they have never faced a setback like this before. It will take them time to adapt. Time we can use to prepare." The alien placed a data crystal on the table. "Our complete technological database. Manufacturing techniques, scientific discoveries, star charts. Everything we have. A gesture of good faith between allies." Reyes picked up the crystal, realizing its immense value. With this knowledge, humanity could advance its technological capabilities by centuries. "And in return," she asked, "your railgun designs, your shield modulation algorithms. And K'Aktol paused. Your agreement to help us take the fight to the Phyrexians, not just to defend, but to liberate. Reyes was silent for a long moment. The decision she made now would change the course of human history forever. Earth had sent the Thunderchild to explore, to discover what lay beyond their solar system. Instead, they had found themselves thrust into the middle of a galactic war. But they had also found allies, species who shared humanity's values of freedom and self-determination. And they had discovered that humans possessed technological innovations that could make a difference in that war. The United Earth government will need to make the final decision, she said at last. But you have my recommendation for full alliance and technological exchange. K'Aktol made a gesture that the translator identified as profound gratitude. Then there is hope for all our peoples, Commander Reyes. Today marks the beginning of a new chapter in this conflict, the day the Phyrexians learned to fear humanity. As Reyes looked out the viewport at the battered but victorious Protectorate fleet regrouping around New Terrace, she couldn't help but wonder what this new chapter would bring. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe, and there was no going back. The Thunderchild's unexpected arrival had changed the course of a galactic war. Now it was up to Reyes and her crew to ensure that change was for the better.